Different Issei, who's very cautious and practical of his choice. Instead of Harem King, he wanted to survive these crazy people. As for how, plain common sense and one old crimson dragon for the help. The world is not ready for him. This is a UI posted this story on Webnovel and Scribblehub as Nikki Simp 2. Chapter 1. Prologue. A normal day for normal teenage. No offense Harem King Issei, you just don't sit well with me. You have good qualities, no doubt about it. Still, your obsession with opie and girls is too much, man. No wonder Diedrich needs a therapist. A character's dialogue, a character's thoughts. Diedrich speaking in Issei's mind, Diedrich speaking openly to his surrounding. What Issei experienced and feels right now could only be described as a dream. If not, how could he accept the nonsensical scenes happening in front of him? Devils, angels, and angels who have jet black wings. Not only that, there were other beings who had features completely foreign to modern society and his mind. He neither has the words nor references to describe any of them. Maybe I should go to the library. If nothing else, it gives me an excuse for studying. Lightly snickering at his lazy thoughts, he absent-mindedly views this dream just like seeing movies during his free time. An angel who stabs the devil with a furious expression. The devil who slowly lost his energy to live after being stabbed cleanly in her heart. A fallen angel, Issei decided to call the counterparts that, since it's fitting, cuts the angel's head decisively with madness in his eyes. Killing, blasting, stabbing, punching, etc. Such gore happens all around him. The process may be different, but the ending will all be the same. It was countless deaths for everyone on this battlefield. Pandemonium. One single word describes this dream accurately. The first time Issei saw this scene was half a year ago. He immediately went to the toilet and puked out all of his mom's cooked food. For a normal teenager who lived in peaceful modern Japan, this scene was too much for him. Heck, he even wants to applaud for himself staying sane. Not everyone could stay normal after being exposed to excessive gore again and again. It was just too realistic and vivid. Were dreams supposed to be this descriptive? Fortunately or maybe unfortunately, when you see the same things countless times, humans tend to unconsciously adapt it. Issei was no different. That's why, the times when he was horrified walking around this scene is no more. He only looks at it mechanically, just like an audience spectating the battle scene of the movie. Even the ending of it is the same. Just as he thought that, a huge mass suddenly dropped down to the ground, resulting in an immediate earthquake in the surroundings. A few were able to stand upright, but most of them either lost their balance and fell or were squashed by said mass. A dragon. Issei may be ignorant about myth, but even he would not mistake the majestic creature in front of him. Media and games always depict it as an absolute factor, either as the last boss or a powerful ally for the hero. In this case, maybe Doom would be an apt comparison. A huge body that is covered with hard, gleaming scales in every inch of it. A long, thick neck. Singular tail that stretched tens of meters, swinging freely to its surrounding. A sharp head with glowing turquoise eyes. Red. A dominant color of red that covered every part of its body except for its eyes. No, maybe the color crimson would be better. Either way, Issei could only sympathize with the poor souls who tried to fight it. After all, with the appearance of this lump of unfairness, the sense of despair expressed by everyone was as clear as ever. You cannot fight someone that's equivalent to a natural disaster. Really? If it's a dream, can you show me a better one? Complaining in his thoughts, Issei bitterly smiles while looking at the continuation. Needless to say, it's a complete landslide slaughter for the Crimson Dragon. There was no concept of battle anymore. A fight could only happen if either side had similar powers. Everyone on this battlefield could only kneel down wailing in despair or blindly charging the monstrosity with the hopeless prospect of challenging it. Even so, it was quite ironic to Issei. Surely, all of them have something to fight for, even if they need to trample others. All these people, with different factions, different perspectives, and different beliefs. Every one of them who was killing each other fervently, now united as one banner to fight the dragon. Sometimes, even he thought this. Do you all kill each other just for the sake of it? Logically, he knew that combining for one threat was the best action for them to take. It was the smart decision to disregard their enmity to eliminate the biggest player in this game board called War. Even so, Issei could only lamentably think, why start this massive war if they all unite almost immediately just for this one big dragon easily? Well, there's no use thinking about it. It's useless to be emotionally invested in a dream that he has no context for. Besides, he knew that the ending of it would be that the Crimson Dragon exhaled a powerful breath of fire. Then, everyone will scream painfully while burned to ashes. While thinking that, the dragon that rampages and roars toward the surrounding flies makes eye contact with the lone teenager. Did it just look at me? Issei knows he's an outlier in this dream. In fact, he knew too that his body looked ethereal compared to them, for lack of a better word. But just now, he didn't imagine it. That dragon. The being equivalent of a natural disaster. It recognizes him. Subconsciously, he raised his arms to guard himself from that overwhelming gaze. The logical part of his brain knew how futile its action was. But his body instinctively protected himself from the absolute threat that could squash him to bits with his gigantic body. Say. Why? Why did the dragon recognize him? Isn't this all a dream? Ssei. Should he run? But where to? In fact, can he even run from it? Issei. While panicking, the Crimson Dragon flapped its powerful pair of wings, slapping all of the people who flew around it into a scattered mess. Some unfortunate ones even get crushed due to a combination of sudden air pressure and being pushed into a wall. And then, our meeting is near, partner. Hyodo Issei. Whoa, what the? Immediately standing up, Hyodo Issei, a second-year student of Kuo Academy, blinking his eyes, look at his surrounding. A surrounding full of classmates looking at him, half in suppressed laughter and half in exasperated smiles. Oh, yes, oh, is right. Hyodo-kun. Slowly rotating his vision from his classmates, he faced the doom-named Izayama-sensei looking at him with full-blown smiles and twitching eyebrows. Oh, right. With that, Issei nods to himself a few times while making a fist slamming to his other hand to finally realize his situation. He's screwed. With that, he smiles brightly at his pissed-off math teacher while bowing a complete 90-degree. Then, he raised his heavy head. Sorry, sensei. I overslept. Teehee, with a sincere apology. The teacher couldn't hold his temper anymore. With veins popping on his forehead, he smiles brightly in response to his cute student. Extra homework for you, Hyodo-kun. Immediately, Issei's face paled. He even exaggeratedly opened his jaw wide to express his disbelief. Some desk mates near him amusedly compared the poor guy to a guppy fish. No. HMPH. Hope you learn your lesson, young man. Sensei, that's too much. How could you? I thought you were an angel compared to other teachers. Ha. Say what you want. Your complaints are exceptionally pleasing to my ears. Devil. Demon. A teacher with no blood or tears. Fun, as I said, that's why you are still single despite being 30s. The hell did you just say? Why? Most of them hold their laughter to avoid attention, but the sitcom happening in front of them is too much. Just like a chain reaction, every single one of them laughs at this absurdity. Even some of the polite girls snicker while covering it with the back of their hand. As always, their dear classmate brings good cheer even in this hellish torture class called math. Looks like luck rains upon you, huh, buddy? I think you need to read a dictionary about the right meaning of luck, Matsuda. SNRK, Issei. Only a person with a proper brain could read a book, much less a dictionary. The hell you mean by that, Motohama? Ha, you sure know what, idiot. Issei could only sigh resignedly with a wry smile to his friends. After the last class for the day, which is math, unfortunately, his self-proclaimed best friends Matsuda and Motohama immediately tease him about his predicament. Well, either this or shamelessly talking about porn books openly in the classroom without shame. Issei shudders internally when comparing the present to the previous year's ones. The mental images of it. To this day, Issei is very fortunate that he could make sense to these former pervert idiots about a sense of decency. Besides, under those bad habits, they are not bad people at all. Still idiots though. Isn't it too much teasing me when I'm already down? Never mind. To be fair, if it happens to them, then Issei will mercilessly tease them back so he can't complain much. Besides, his math teacher, Ishiyama-sensei, may be a stickler for rules and decorum, but he's a good educator who won't punish students without mercy. Hopefully. Hee. It's never boring with you around, Hyodo-kun. Oh, hey Hanakai-san. Well, guess I can't deny that. While the two idiots are still fooling around with each other, his desk-mate Hanakai Momo greets him with a teasing smile. She was a beautiful girl with a slender figure and long grayish-white hair that's rarely seen in Japan, much less in the small city of Kuo. Author notes. You guys can see her picture on Google. So, what can I do to the class Madonna? Besides giving a sitcom, please. I don't want to be a gag character. These two idiots in front of me bickering fill the role plentifully. Calling me a Madonna is a bit too much. I'm not that pretty like Himejima-senpai or Gremory-senpai. In response to Hanakai's humbleness, Issei only shrugged his shoulder with an easy smile. Hey, I just called as it is. Being pretty is subjective, and you are attractive. Besides, rather than those two flowers, I prefer you, Hanakai-san. Hyodo-kun. Can you do something with that habit? I'm fine, but other girls could misunderstand, you know? With a red face, Momo scolded Issei while pointing a finger at him. Only, said person smiled at her apologetically. Sorry about that, Hanakai-san. I only said what I meant. I don't mean to bother you. Would you like me to stop? That's cheating. With him making that face, Momo could only sigh helplessly. Of course, she knows Issei doesn't mean anything malicious. Heck, she even knew that this guy only gave compliments when he actually meant it genuinely. After all, she had already been acquainted with him for about half a year in the previous year in the same class. If he's just a pretentious bastard, Momo will keep away from him tens of meters at all times. Well, some people may take offense to his bluntness. But for her personally, I don't mind. Just, keep it in moderation, okay? Grumbling, she folded her hands while looking away from him with a pout on her still pink face. In response, Issei could only chuckle at her adorable reaction. You are really cute, Hanakai-san. Mo, see, that's what I meant. Okay. I'll be careful. Wait, stop. That's my face, Hanakai-san. I give, mercy please. As people always say, no good deed goes unpunished. Even if Issei complimented her without any kind of intention, Momo mercilessly pounded on him with both hands. It may seem cute with her still pouting and reddish face. But, her strength is no joke. Seriously, how could a small girl like her have this much my hands? Well, if anyone knows Momo more personally, it may not be strange considering her unique physique. Either way, he's under her mercy. To Issei, he could only wonder how Momo had a lot of strength that could wrestle with him like this. Although, he didn't hold her wrist since he never had the intention to hurt her. Powerful girl or not, Issei is still a gentleman who was taught properly by his good parents. While Issei is seriously contemplating how to calm her down, we are not on their eyesight anymore. Just give up, Matsuda. Issei is on a different level than us. On that, Matsuda could only agree. After calming down from their argument, the sitcom duo immediately realizes the ruckus caused by their leader. Really, while they are fighting to prove their supremacy, their good bro is flawlessly flirting with the bishoujo of their class. Sigh. They could only sigh helplessly and applaud internally for their leader's natural riz. Wait guys. Please help, your friend is being pummeled okay? Just go die, you Eichmann bastard. What the hell you mean by that? Wait Hanakai-san. That place is back. Someone uttered that, but Issei couldn't pinpoint the said one. Rather, he couldn't focus on anything anymore. She hit my. Well, let's just say a man could be hurt effectively if hit in certain places. As a result, the poor guy immediately passed out with a peaceful smile on his face. Momo, who regained her sense from the embarrassment, immediately gasped in horror after realizing her blunder. Kya, Hyodo-kun. Wake up, oh goodness, what should I? Awawawawa. While Momo could only flail helplessly, the double M and M only shrugged their shoulders with wry smiles. The spectators who also watched this scene only shook their heads at their lovable classmates' well-known stupidity. It was a regular scene for their class. She didn't have to hit me that hard. Oh wait, it's also my fault for teasing her. The man, who holds his throbbing temple from being struck, grumbles about the unfairness of it all. However, in the end, he just accepts it easily for being a fool even knowing Momo's traits. The school nurse only chuckled knowingly at the regular patient who came and went into this medical room for the same reason. Without asking much and questioning Issei for regular checks, the student was immediately released without much preamble. Which led to him walking alone toward his house during sunset time. Matsuda and Motohama only give him well wishes and short, sorry, on his chat app, while Momo, he got her number after he begged her to help tutor about the accursed subject. Math, says sorry repeatedly and apologizes too for not staying longer checking on him because of student council jobs. She really shouldn't worry that much, it's my fault anyway. While Riley smiling but appreciating his friend's good-naturedness, he only messaged her back to not worry much and good luck with her student council's work. As for those two idiots, he replied with, "Don't worry about it. They already knew each other for about a year. Bros don't need many words to understand each other." Well, at least Issei thought so. Humming to the rhythmic tone of the previous anime's opening song offbeat, Issei walks leisurely to his house. At this time, his mother is still on the track toward home too after buying groceries, and his father is also coming home after a long day of work. Hope katsudan's on the menu today. Maybe meat and potatoes. Well, mom's cooking is the best so anything works. It was then, while he was happily imagining the delicious food waiting at his house. Hello? A girl's voice calls out near him. Unconsciously, Issei stopped in his tracks. Not being a self-conscious prick, the bridge he's walking right now doesn't have any other people, so the girl is naturally calling to him. Turning toward his back slowly. Pretty. If Momo was here, she would rub her temple while contemplating whether this guy lacked punishment. After being smacked repeatedly to be careful, this guy still unrepentantly compliments people, especially girls, without warning. I mean thank you. His habit of blurting out words makes the girl flustered, but she immediately calms herself. However, she's still a bit pink-faced after an unexpected compliment from him. It was not unappreciated though. "Aw crap. So sorry miss, I'm trying to be careful of my bad habits. It's just, you were so beautiful that I was mesmerized that the words naturally and shutting up now. And no, it's okay. Why you don't mean anything about it." A boy and girl flustered silly by apologizing to each other because of the boy's unexpected comment. What the hell is this? If the double M idiots saw this scene, they could only laugh and shake their heads helplessly for their bro's charm. Really, he already caused one rom-com with Momo, getting his head hit repeatedly because of it. And then this. Issei is not handsome nor is he idol material. Matsuda knows this. Motohama knows it too. Hell, even the guy himself admits it too. He's way too normal for being called Eichmann. That said title is only crowned for his other classmate, Kiba Yuto. The guy only needs a little old smile and the girls will swarm the said man in 1 second flat. Maybe having a cute boyish face and golden brown eyes can be called his charm points, but that's all about it, objectively said. No, what makes Momo and even this girl flustered naturally is because of his honesty and open-mouthed policy. Sometimes, small compliments given genuinely are the best way to open the other party's heart. Well, maybe too effective. Lightly coughing to cover his faux pas, Issei takes a deep breath to calm himself. Then, he makes eye contact with the pretty girl who called out to him while scratching the back of his head bashfully. "So, what can I do for you?" Right. Please give me a moment. Fua, doing one complete cycle of breathing in and out. The girl opened her clear amethyst eyes and faced the boy with a cute smile on her unblemished face. Then, she places her right hand on her, admittedly, ample chest. The wind blew her long silky black hair that stretched down to her waist while doing so. All of this combination is what Issei unconsciously but genuinely expresses. "Pretty. Nice to meet you. Hyodo Issei-kun. My name is Amano Yuma." This pretty girl, I'm sorry for calling you out suddenly like this. Hides a secret. There's something I want to say to you for a while now. A secret that'll destroy his cycle of normalcy. My eyes always follow you on your way back home. The cycle has been kept for a solid 17 years. My heart always beats faster when I look at you. The normalcy that could happen because of secrecy. After thinking, I know what these feelings are. And now, the secrecy will lead him to a dangerous path. I'm glad you call me pretty. Nobody, not even him nor the girl, knows what the path may lead. Hyodo Issei-kun. I fell in love with you at first sight, that's why. However, there's one thing for sure. Please, go out with me. Nothing will stay the same anymore. Author's note. And, cut. This is the prologue for my DXD fanfic. Was it good? Was it bad? Either way, please leave a comment so I can improve better. Well, I just write this for fun, so keep it in mind. Now, the prologue. First off, I think I did normal. As a reader, I always wondered why some fanfic writer is just so bad at it. But after writing it myself, I could only lower my head after experiencing the difficulty personally. It's hard, but still, it's kind of fun too. The way my imagination becomes expressed through writing. It's also cathartic after seeing Issei doing. Well, Issei. No, I won't be doing or writing that at all. I like girls as any straight male does, but he's just too excessive even for the comedy element. My MC may have his moments and flirting side, but at least he won't be dense nor completely run away like Headless Chicken. Still, keep in note that his solution may not be perfect since 1. He's still a high schooler. 2. I could make mistakes while writing. See you in the next chapter, ch1 of 15 next. Chapter 2. Confession and Answers, a character's dialogue. A character's thoughts, Diedrich speaking in Issei's mind. Diedrich speaking openly to his surrounding. Oh. In response to the heartful confession of this beautiful stranger in front of him, the reception of the confessed could only respond dumbly like an idiot. Or rather, that's the best response for his teenage mind with little to no experience regarding romance. As said before, the high schooler could view himself objectively. Maybe there's a bias here and there, but at least Issei knew his own value, such as his average physical appearance. Matsuda and Motohama did comment that Issei is way too harsh toward himself, even reaching to earn him the title, old man, regarding his maturity. However, Momo countered them bashfully that it was one of his wonderful charms, which earned a lot of teasing looks. That's why, he never expected somebody could fall in love with him at first sight only. Anyway. Crap, sorry Amano-san. I don't know how to respond. Pretty uncool, huh? While Issei could only scratch the back of his head awkwardly, Yuma only shook her head slowly, still with a cute smile plastered on her immaculate face. In fact, she even showed a sympathizing expression. No, don't worry about it, Hyodo-kun. It's also my fault for saying this out of the blue, I just. When she hesitated to continue her lines, Issei began to calm down too. In response, he shook his head slowly and showed her a shy smile. Yeah, I'm an idiot. The least I could do is to answer her honestly. He does not want to be those munchkin protagonists whose denseness could rival black holes. Thank you very much. It's fine. Rather, I admire your courage to confess your feelings to someone whom you never talked to. At least, you are way better than me who could only fluster like a headless chicken. Self-depreciation toward oneself can be detrimental either toward oneself or other party. That is an absolute truth in communication. However, depending on the context, it may work as a glue for easing the tension or expressing own character seamlessly. As proof, Yuma, who heard his comment, subconsciously lowered her body tension. Moreover, when she sees Issei's reaction is not much different than hers, she begins to feel more comfortable toward him. I'm glad you see it like that. Yuma releases a breath of relief, and then, she lowered her head shyly and fidgeted her fingers. So your answer? Immediately, Issei took a long deep breath and released it slowly while closing his eyes. Then he opened his golden brown eyes to stare at her seriously. Firstly, let me say this. Thank you very much for your feeling. As a person, and especially as a man, I'm really flattered by an attractive girl like you. And then, Issei showed a bright smile, reflecting his gratitude toward her. At the very least, I could confidently say this. On this day, this moment, I will never forget receiving my very first heartful confession for the rest of my life. Hearing that, Yuma blinked her amethyst eyes repeatedly. Then, when she comprehended his straightforward words without filter, Yuma lowered her head. From a third point of view, it may be seen as a girl who hides her own shyness but happiness at the same time. But if looked closely, there's no hiding the biting of her lip and the guilt shown in her eyes. However, on the next split second, Yuma raised her head as if her previous expression was a lie, by showing a bright smile with a pink face. Moreover, she even leans her head slowly toward him while positioning it below his eyesight with a teasing smile. "Ooh, you say you are new on this, but your words are so smooth, Hyodo-kun. My poor maiden heart beats loudly, you know. Ahahaha. Well, rather than act strong and make a fool of myself, it's better to express my feelings openly like this. No matter what the result is, at least I won't regret it." How naive. How foolish. How disgustingly honest of him. And yet, her smile, unnoticed by Issei, is mixed with bitterness. Is that so? It makes this whole situation harder for her. In response to her reaction, Issei gathered his wits and finally focused on the initial topic. "So, for your confession." "Yes." Just as she shows her state of being nervous, Yuma gulps loudly and holds both of her hands in front of her ample chest, expressing her hope for a positive answer. "Can we do a trial date first?" As if dumbfounded, Yuma also reacts blankly, just like Issei in the beginning. Expecting her reaction, Issei slowly but clearly explains his reason. "See, while I'm grateful for your feelings, there's no denying this is our first meeting, right?" "Well, that's true." Excluding her when she looked at him for her purposes, Issei truly never met, much more talked to her. "That's why. I can't accept your confession blindly like this. It just feels wrong." Issei cautiously but gently refused her feelings. He hoped that she wouldn't react badly since rejection could lead to exploding negative emotions. Fortunately, Yuma only listened to him silently but attentively. "Let's go on a date at a decided time and place. If I'm not what you expected, it's better for us to be friends if you are still willing. If not, then..." Scratching his cheek bashfully, Issei continued his word, but with a smaller voice. Yuma even leans to him a bit more for better hearing. Even so, there's no mistake that the resolve behind his words is positively loud and clear. "I know I will be the best boyfriend for you." As if taken aback, Yuma jolts and retracts her leaned head toward the initial position. Then, she showed a grateful smile toward Issei. "Thank you, Hyodo-kun. I like that too." Breathing a sigh of relief, Issei nods and smiles thankfully for her patience and understanding. After all, he knows just how slow he is compared to other teenagers. Some may even show contempt toward him for making such a pretty girl lead and egging her on with baseless hope. But Yuma didn't see it like that. Rather, she, who is much, much older, hidden in her disguise, could see Issei's intention very clearly without mistaking it. From the beginning until the end, he never lied to her. Heck, there's no sign of supremacy or childish arrogance from knowing a pretty girl likes him. He was 100% serious. All of his actions and words are given with a clear conscience. "Then, this weekend, could we meet at Kuo Park around 11 a.m.? Does that work for you?" "That works for me." If taken nicely, he's very cautious in his approach, which is rare in this day and age for being conservative. If taken badly, he's an indecisive asshole who makes one frustrated just by looking at him. To Yuma, it was a very sweet gesture, who takes her confession very seriously. Honestly, she didn't even expect her flimsy action could be taken like this. It would be lying if her stone heart was not fluttered by his genuine appreciation and honest feeling. Looking at him, shyly asking for her number while trying his best not to stutter, Yuma could only sigh forlornly in her mind. Very sweet. What a shame. Inwardly, Yuma expresses a bitter smile who has to deceive such a person for her objective. Yes, what a shame really. If she could meet with him in a different stance and situation, maybe they could truly be a loving couple. At least, she wouldn't mind being a good, but teasing older sister for this cute boy. Sadly, it was never meant to be in this lifetime. Life is a bitch. Then. Goodbye Amano-san. See you on the weekend. Oh my, so early to separate with me? I'm quite confident of my appearance, you know? Seeing her unabashedly praising herself, Issei could only laugh wholeheartedly. While seeing her shy side was truly adorable, he couldn't deny that this confidence of her is refreshing and attractive. Well, for me personally, just staring at you all day long makes me happy. No matter what you do, a pretty girl makes a boy like me entranced just with a flick of your finger. Your friend was right. You really need to fix your bad habit. Yuma sighs helplessly at this troublesome boy while facepalming her face for his blunt words. Still, her slightly red ears react oppositely contrary to her actions after hearing that. It was fortunate for her the sunset hit it, which reduced his embarrassing comment. As an older sister, she still has her pride, thank you very much. Honestly, him being shy in front of a pretty woman but openly expressing compliments like that without a sense of shame, was mind-boggling to her. Well, I take what I can get though. Really, her original residence is filled with colleagues bitter in life and arrogant toward others. Especially, lowly, humans like the one in front of him. For those muscle-headed idiots, her appearance doesn't really get appreciated much. Well, except for some fuckers who look at her like a piece of meat without reservation or trying to hide it but transparent in her eyes. That's why, it's a good ego boost for her maiden heart which is dry as Sahara desert, these days. A gentleman is rare, no matter what time she lived in. Except their dear leader. Their governor-general is truly cunning and worthy of admiration for making her faction still float stably, despite their rogue tendencies. There's a good reason no one will ever try to mess with him lightly. Although, to her, he's just a different kind of idiot. Pervertish kind of idiot. Chuckling at her stupid thought, Yuma bid farewell to the boy who was merrily skipping on his way home without reserve. Again, it's flattering for her to show that kind of open reaction without hiding. If life could be so simple. What a wishful thinking, Yuma thought resignedly. And then, as if everything was a lie, Yuma's demeanor changed 180 degrees. Her back, which was lowered slightly on purpose, stood straight stiff. Her eyes, which are dopey and cute as described by Issei, sharpen immediately. It even makes one wonder how could such warm eyes express that much coldness on it. Instead of a cute high schooler in her current disguise, a deadly woman would be more apt to describe her. There's one. Rolling her eyes at her back, but not turning her head, she confirmed the poorly but still hiding peeper on the bush behind her. Clicking her tongue inwardly, Yuma, slowly but cluelessly, goes back to her temporary home. For now, it's a success. The rest, I just need to complete my mission quietly. To be honest, it's as easy as taking candy from a baby for her to eliminate that stupid peeper. One flick and boom, problem solved. If she ignores the consequences and the backer of the said peeper. For this kind of simple mission, it was usually given to lower-level grunts, not her. Not to toot her own horn, she could be described as a veteran in their circle. Definitely not a powerhouse, but someone who could pull her own weight easily. Moreover, not only she was specifically chosen, but her 3 close colleagues also are on standby. All of these excessive precautions happen for this simple mission. However, Yuma won't complain nor underestimate the difficulty of it. She was even grateful for having this much safety net in case anything went wrong. The repercussion for making a scene in this area is something nobody, not even her boss, could handle. Disgusting. Bad. Slaves. Gritting her teeth slightly, Yuma unconsciously gripped her hand shaped into a fist. Her nails digging into her palms strongly. She continued to walk calmly until the peeper gave up. Or, deep breathe, Yuma, don't mess this up. As if convincing herself, she said these words under her breath again and again until her emotion receded. She may be arrogant, but the reason for her to be chosen for this mission is not to antagonize others but to secrecy. She's smart and especially tolerant enough to know further aggression in this territory is just throwing a bigger pile of shit in this constant fucking mess. No, a dung pile of shit is comparatively better. Even though it's messy and crappy, it's far, far better than the absolute worst possible situation. One small catalyst will make everything explode spectacularly. If that happens, there's truly nothing to be done. I'm sorry, Issei. From her peers, she knew that her personality could be considered soft. She doesn't necessarily like those humans. She's too jaded after seeing all of the crap humanity has done toward themselves and the world too. But she never hated them until she wished for their extinction either. Fallen or not, the initial purpose of her birth never changes much. Even so, there's always something in life that has to be compromised for. For our selfish motives, her current organization's main purpose is to keep watch and record everything, representing its namesake. But this time, with her back facing the peeper, Yuma formed a cold expression, setting her mouth to a thin line. No matter how much remorse and pity she feels, what she'll do won't change. Therefore, please, die for us. She needs to cross the line. Author's note. And done. Some of you may already notice who is exactly Yuma, and her true identity. Well, who am I kidding? Most of you are sages who read fanfic like Bibles, lol. Still, these 2 chapters definitely express my opinion toward the DxD story. In anime and light novels, the devil is usually portrayed as good and the fallen angel as bad. It's obvious why, since Issei is in the devil faction. More specifically, as Rias peerage members. Still, I think it's just too many characters like Yuma, or certain KFC Phoenix depicted as 2-bit villains solely existed for elevating Og Issei's worth for the audience. Well, screw that. As I said, this is an alternative universe. The result and initial motives may not change, but the process is unique because of its different circumstances. This Yuma still has its bad moments, but at least she knows her action is total crap and betrayal toward Issei. That's why, instead of a villain that's easy to hate and be done for, I want to express her as a 3-dimensional character as much as possible. Just like any other person, she feels regret but will do what needs to be done. That's all from me. Ciao. Previous ch2 of 15 next. Chapter 3. Behind the scene. A character's dialogue. A character's thoughts. Diedrich speaking in Issei's mind. Diedrich speaking openly to his surrounding. That's all from me, bucko. I see. Good work, Kaneko. Night. Kuo Academy old building. In this old place, 3 girls wearing the same uniforms but very different body proportions gather for their activities. One is a purple-haired ponytailed girl named Himejima Akeno looking at the other 2's conversation with a perpetual beatific smile. She was standing behind the one who sat on the chair, just like an assistant. For some reason, she closes her eyes often during conversation too. The next girl is the petite white-haired girl named Tashu Kaneko. Or, as Yuma dubbed, disgusting bat stalker. In her mind. Whether said girl noticed Yuma's contempt or not, no one could know. As ordered by her club leader, bucko, Kaneko style. Observe, the interested party, Hyodo Issei. Looking at her master, Kaneko is silent for a moment. Then, as if she couldn't hold it in anymore, she abruptly opened her small mouth that contained her curiosity. What will you do now? Oh, this is interesting. The last one who hums contemplatively to Kaneko's question is the leader of these 2 girls, Rias Gremory. On an official note, she is just a normal 3rd-year Kuo high school student who manages the occult club for their hobbies. Well, as normal as the beautiful great ladies crowned by the students. Especially boys, her title is warranted as her shining crimson hair and appropriate body proportion exude a great womanly charm that no normal high schooler could have. This is a fact, as all 3 of them were never normal from the beginning. Back to Kaneko's inquiry. Rias only smiled mysteriously and folded her hands on the desk, unconsciously raising her abundant chest, which made Kaneko subconsciously twitch her eyebrow for the low-key insult to her. Just ignore it. What a sad fate for the eternal cute, petite mascot of Kuo Academy. As for what Rias thinks it's interesting, she's a bit amused that Kaneko would even ask that as if she was oblivious to the danger coming to them. This is just for confirmation, but you could smell it, right? On that, 2 immediate but not positive reactions occurred to them. Akeno, the Yamato Nadeshiko lady still looks the same, but her aura changes considerably. As if her parents' worst enemy come to life. Her anger was palpable radiating around the room. Kaneko, whom Rias inquired, furrowed her brow as if she could notice the upcoming trouble inevitably too. Crow. Not pigeon, not a bat, but a crow, is spoken by Kaneko. To normal people, it may seem nonsensical or gaming code for teenagers. To them though, it was a code for Yuma's true identity. After all, besides friendly bats, no pigeons nor crows are welcome to this territory unless explicitly stated. Rather, no fools willingly come to Kuo town if they knew who managed this town behind the scenes. Unless, then you should know. My guess was correct. They were forced to come for their agenda. Rias, who looks as if the lottery prize is right in front of her eyes, proudly states her opinion to Kaneko. The petite girl sighed wordlessly at her reaction but didn't refute her words. After all, her comments about Hyodo Issei's peculiarity from a year ago come back to this very moment. Dragon. Flick. Bingo. As if saying the correct answer, Rias chuckled knowingly and snapped her finger. It was a bit exaggerated, but every person has their own quirks, so nobody criticized her for the dramatic reactions. Rather, even Akano found it cute for her master's reaction while chuckling lightly behind her hand. Dragon. This single word has a different hidden meaning, but the weight behind it far outclassed all three code words. What's more outrageous is that Kaneko implicitly stated that, with her nose, she could smell the scent of a dragon in the seemingly normal high school student. Not only it was ridiculous, but some people may even snort contemptfully at the sheer ludicrousity of it. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunate for Rias, that ridiculous situation came true for her. If she didn't care her image in front of her clubmates, she would jump in joy for this unexpected, but very welcome chance coming to her lap. What we'll do is simple, we watch them from the sideline. Wait and see approach. As one of the rulers of this territory, it may be a smidge too passive approach. As if expressing that, Kaneko frowned worriedly while Akano pouted visibly on her cheek since she couldn't play with her new toys anymore. But they won't refute her, rather, they couldn't. 1. There is little to no information about this Yuma. Although she may be illegally entering this town, she may not know who manages this area, which is almost improbable. Really, based on Kaneko's observation, it's possible since crows have an instinctual habit of picking a fight with other races when interfering with her agenda. Whether she notices it or not, there is a small probability she's just hanging out with the dragon-smelled boy. 2. Worsening the current situation without having a backup solution. This is also what Yuma worries about. But all three sides generally avoid the doomsday scenario that's possibly happening just because of the small skirmish. If that happens, Rias and the other ruler who manage this territory are helpless to do anything about it, even with the support from their respective families. And finally, this is a one-in-a-million opportunity. Both of them tilted their heads for not understanding this said opportunity. But after a few seconds, Akano spoke, "Oh," from her mouth and nodded in understanding while Kaneko folded her hands perplexedly regarding this opportunity. Necessary, it wasn't a baseless worry. Rather, if anyone from the neutral side considers it from Kaneko's side, such words inadvertently come out. She could understand Rias' intention and the reason behind it. Still, Hyodo Senpai is innocent. It all boils down to basic compassion. Half a year ago, Kaneko was requested to observe Issei's activity and find his nature if possible. Not a thorough one, but a basic surface-level search about him. The result, he was absolutely normal on every side. Even on this side or on his family, there is truly nothing noteworthy to find. Not to diss her senior, she's not that cruel, but Issei Senpai is particularly uninteresting to her. In fact, she was close to indifference. However, she silently praised him in her mind after successfully educating those two M&M idiots in basic decency for not frolicking like a monkey in school. Perverts are one of the few things she couldn't absolutely tolerate. Rias is not an idiot or emotionally dense. She may be a bit lacking in experience compared to her esteemed brother, but she could notice Kaneko's unquestioned worries. I understand what you are worried about, Kaneko. If possible, I want to recruit Hyodo-kun as naturally as possible too. During the agreement for managing this territory, Rias and the current student council president have explicitly agreed to share the burden and possible chance that could benefit them fairly and equally. In these 2 years, such agreements have been kept faithfully as much as possible to avoid antagonizing each other. In fact, both of them are quite close in private too. Moreover, Rias and the other person never really liked the way to exploit people for their own benefit, which is different from their race's norms. But sadly, the situation has changed drastically for this year, or rather, Rias' side is almost at the end of the rope. Remembering the recent news she heard from her brother's work partner, the club leader's face is filled with gloom and anger. 2 days ago, I just got words from Graffiane, she said, until the end of your school year. I don't think that needs elaboration, yes? Hearing that unexpected news coming from out of the blue, the pair also react horribly. Akano gasped at the sudden changes with no preamble while Kaneko grimaced at its shortened time limit. As a person of Gremory, every member has a role needed to fulfill, small or not. Rias is no exception. In fact, her responsibility is far more heavy as the future successor of Gremory's house. Rias hated it. She hated that shackle much more than any other thing she experienced in her life. Even though she was grateful to be born into the family, she couldn't stop the feeling of frustration. Logic is always separate from emotion. For a young girl like Rias, especially so. It's not that she's blind from the need to fulfill her obligation. Considering the endangered pure species of her race, she understood the necessity of it. That's why, even though she vehemently rebuked the news coming from Graphia, she wasn't the least surprised her words meant absolutely nothing to her and her mother. Can we try to persuade the other side of the family? Akeno softly proposed a possible solution, but Rias only chuckled mirthlessly after hearing that. While they are in a situation to borrow any helping hand even from cats, Akeno herself cringed from the sheer bullshit coming from her mouth. Kaneko even shook her head hopelessly like she could imagine the only possible result coming from it. No more option? No more option. It was final. If Rias, the main party involved in this situation, said so in a matter-of-fact manner, then there's truly nothing that could be done anymore. Therefore, it goes back to their initial start. Banking their hope to Hyodo Issei. Kaneko, you don't need to observe Yuma anymore. Since we know her hideout is in the abandoned church, that's already a plus. Instead, change your main target to Hyodo-kun without him noticing it. In these few days, there's going to be a change, I guarantee it. Kaneko nods at that. It was a no-brainer anyway. I'll report it to the student council president for upcoming action. On that, Rias opened her mouth, closed it, and repeated it again and again. Kaneko tilted her head confusedly at that. After all, there's no need to hesitate for it. As agreed before, it was protocol to share their findings with. Bucko, something's wrong. Kaneko narrowed her eyes and looked at her club leader warily. She doesn't know what is specifically wrong. However, at least she knows her plan to report this to the student president is not mistaken. So why is she reacting like that? Kaneko got her answer after tens of seconds. However, she never said she had to like it. Sona doesn't need to know about this. For a moment, Kaneko blanked out. She could hear the words coming from Ria's mouth, but her brain lags to compute it. Even Akeno gripped her folded hands tightly while biting her lip. After a few seconds, Kaneko was able to digest it. She hopefully wishes it was just a hallucination. However, looking at the solemn face of her master, it looks like there's no mistake. They are going on their backs from their partner. Are you sure? Yes. There was barely any hesitation from Ria's mouth. In fact, she looks determined, as if this is the best possible way for her to overcome this problem. For a moment, Kaneko is silent. She could understand Buckow's actions. She truly could. If she were in her shoes, Kaneko would worry about it constantly too. Still, this was. However, the refutes coming from her mouth died at the tip of her tongue. She never has the luxury nor the privilege to doubt her master. Therefore, following Buckow's word and keeping the comment to herself is the smartest move. She told herself that countless times. Said excuse sounds hollow even to her. I'm sorry. Was it an apology toward the other side or to the innocent boy purposefully involved in this messed up situation? Or, was it both? No one knows. Only she herself knows the true meaning of her apology. A servant doesn't poke their master's decision rashly. As a good servant, understood, she will obey the order faithfully. Accepting her words, Rias nods her head and smiles thankfully to her. Then, when Kaneko asks if there's anything to do, Rias dismisses her immediately without any preamble. Kaneko stares at her master for a moment. Then, she moves her gaze toward Akeno, who only smiles apologetically to her with lowered eyelids. After seeing that, the mascot of Kuo Academy bowed her head as a sign of respect and then turned back towards the door. The new sweet store. Maybe it could help. Expecting the blissful, wonderful taste of the bakery, the sweet lover hoped it could help reduce this bitter feeling stuck in her chest. If Kiba Yuto, the other member of this occult club, looks at her current state, he will stare worriedly as if leaving her like this alone is good for her. After all, he won't miss the remorse and pity shown in her eyes. Clack sadly, the Prince of Kuo is busy with his contract partner, so nobody can point to this irregularity anymore. Well, his being here or not is almost irrelevant, as he's always loyal to his master's wish. Was it really the right choice? Hearing her insecurities, Akeno could only give a bitter smile. Right or wrong, that could only be seen clearly after making the choice, not before. That's why, Akano could only pat her back softly to her conflicted friend with a comforting smile. You did your best. As someone who stays beside your side for 10 years, let me say this. You did everything you could do, so don't think too much about it. As if hearing the unspoken words, Rias slumped her shoulders in relief. In a way, she wants to hear that word the most for forgiving her action. She did feel sorry for involving the innocent boy in their circumstance, but there was nothing more to be done. After reminding herself, her clouded eyes gained clarity, shining brightly. In her youthful but beautiful face, a strong smile appeared on her face shaped as a crescent arc. Yes, there's no other choice for her anymore. What she'll do is the most beneficial choice for everyone. Maybe she will cheat a bit here and there, but her species proactively follow that custom anyway. She just decided to follow it now. This is going to be the first and last time. Apologetically she may feel toward Issei, what she is planning won't change. Saying that inside her mind by consoling herself, she ultimately concludes it'll somehow work wonderfully. For her sake, please be of use to us, Hyodo Issei-kun. She's going to cross the bottom line. Author note. And cut. How is it? The last chapter was about Yuma, so I want to show you all what Rias and her co's think about this whole situation. Most DxD I read who follow the canon either describe Rias as a good master and kind devil compared to the others. I won't say it's wrong per se, but the standard is just too low for me. If I look at her actions objectively, she is a very flawed character. A flawed character or heroine is fine. It makes the story interesting too if the author uses it properly. Still, it ticks me off when the anime depicts Rias as the perfect master and that any of her actions could be forgiven and reasoned. Well, fuck that noise. I do follow the flow of the canon 95% of the time. However, I want to show something more instead of Rias' side being the best and the other is crap. No, what I'll show is that every action will have its consequences and Rias will eat her words in later chapters. Remember everyone, any choice you make will always have consequences. Don't be a hypocrite and try to self-justify yourself if you know the wrongs of it. Lol, just a small advice. Don't take it to heart and just enjoy the story. That's all from me. Ciao. First, previous ch3 of 15 next.